How would Conor McGregor have done in the lightweight division after UFC 205 if he never went on to fight Floyd Mayweather? At the end of 2016 in November, Conor McGregor won the lightweight championship off of Eddie Alvarez. And then a little bit less than a year later, he fought Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match, which would leave him out of the octagon from November of 2016 to October of 2018. Nearly 2 years he was out of the octagon. But what if he never fought Floyd Mayweather? How would he have done against these lightweight contenders at the time? So let's break it down. At the time, November of 2016, Conor McGregor was the champion. Khabib Nurmagomedov was the number one contender. Tony Ferguson was number 2. Number 3 was Eddie Alvarez. Number 4, RDA. Number 5, Edson Barboza. 6 was Nate Diaz. 7 was Michael Johnson. 8, Chiesa. 9, Beneil Dariush. And 10, Dustin Poirier. Let's look at this list. Is there anybody who sticks out who would have beaten a Conor McGregor at that time? Obviously, Khabib Nurmagomedov is there. Khabib Nurmagomedov dominated Conor McGregor 2 years later in 2018. But in my opinion, UFC 205 Conor, the focused Conor McGregor back then, not the drunk Conor, not the drug-addicted Conor, but the focused Conor McGregor from UFC 205, from UFC in 2015 and 2016, I think he beats a lot of these guys. Does he beat a Khabib Nurmagomedov at that time? I think he probably does. I think the Conor McGregor that fought Eddie Alvarez beats Khabib Nurmagomedov from that time. If you remember, Khabib was on that card as well. He fought against Michael Johnson on that card at UFC 205, and Michael Johnson had a lot of good moments on the feet. That's widely considered to be Khabib Nurmagomedov's first moment of adversity in the UFC was against Michael Johnson. He got hurt on the feet in that fight. And I think Conor McGregor at that time is worlds, universes better than Michael Johnson was. And I believe that Conor McGregor's skill on the feet, I believe he would have taken care of Khabib Nurmagomedov. Then we go on to Tony Ferguson. Could Tony Ferguson's pace and pressure be enough to stop Conor McGregor at that time? I don't believe so. Back then, I can't believe, or I can't remember when this fight took place, but Tony Ferguson fought Lando Venata when Lando was coming into the UFC, and Lando had that dude in trouble. He had him on skates. He hurt him. He dropped him several times. He made him do the chicken dance multiple times. I believe that Conor McGregor would have done Tony Ferguson dirty back then. Next one, RDA. Now, I believe that RDA would have been a very, very difficult matchup for Conor. And I believe that after Conor beat Jose Aldo when he was booked to fight RDA, I believe that RDA would have done him worse than he got done by Nate Diaz. RDA was bigger than Conor at the time. He was quick. He was powerful. He had good grappling. You kind of see what RDA did to Nate Diaz, and then you see what Nate Diaz ended up doing to Conor. Granted, it was up at 170, but still, I believe that RDA would have been a very, very difficult matchup for Conor. But at the time, after Conor beat Eddie Alvarez had already knocked out RDA. And so RDA had taken some damage at the time. He had just been knocked out by the guy that Conor just destroyed. And so I believe that Conor would have taken this one as well. Edson Barboza, number 5. This would have been a crazy fight. And could Edson beat a Conor McGregor? Now, on the feet, the kicks. Man, I don't know. Thinking about Edson Barboza in 2016 versus Conor McGregor in 2016, that's one of those mystical matchups that what would have happened? Could Barboza's kicks do that type of damage to Conor McGregor? Could Conor's power take care of Edson? His power and his timing and his speed coming up from 145? Could have. But I think Edson Barboza was a scary matchup for Conor McGregor. I really do. I think I'm going to have to go with Barboza here. I think Barboza might have beaten Conor McGregor. I don't think Conor necessarily had that much better cardio than Edson Barboza, and he's not a fighter that's going to drain you. He's going to knock you out, and so I don't know. Edson Barboza might have gotten him. I'm going to go with Edson Barboza here. Number 6, Nate Diaz. We saw what happened with Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor at 170. I think Nate Diaz was a bad matchup for Conor McGregor. I still think he is a bad matchup for Conor McGregor even today in 2026. And yeah, I think Nate would have gotten him. I think Nate would have gotten him at 155 as well. I think Nate's chin, his cardio, his grappling, I think he would have gotten him. And I'm sure you're wondering how I'm saying Nate Diaz is going to beat Conor, but Khabib isn't going to beat Conor. But Khabib's striking back then was absolutely abysmal. Even in 2018, when Conor came in and he fought Khabib after being out of the octagon for 2 years, if Conor would have fought a Khabib after fighting Eddie Alvarez, if he would have fought Khabib, 6 months later, super high on momentum, super confident, I think back then if he would have fought Khabib, he could have defended the takedowns and he would have taken care of Khabib on the feet. Khabib, I believe that Nate Diaz would have taken care of Khabib on the feet back then. His stand-up was abysmal, absolutely abysmal. But his grappling, was amazing. But I believe that Conor could have defended the takedowns and taken care of Khabib. But Nate Diaz, with his cardio and his pressure and his pace, I think it would have been a very, very difficult matchup for Conor McGregor. And I think I'm leaning towards Nate Diaz in that matchup. But moving on, number 7, Michael Johnson. Conor McGregor would have knocked Michael Johnson out. It would have been bad. Moving on, Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa is like a worse version of a Khabib, like a way worse version of Khabib. I think Conor McGregor would have knocked him out as well. Beneil Dariush. I think Conor would have done him wrong. I think he would have done the same thing to Dariush that he would have done to a Chiesa or a Johnson. He wouldn't bring anything special to a Conor McGregor fight that Conor hadn't seen before. Beneil's got great grappling. He's got not really good striking. And so I think he would have been in trouble against Conor McGregor. And number 10, Dustin Poirier. Now, I don't necessarily think at that point in time, Dustin would have done as well against McGregor that he did in 2021. Just looking at the Joe Duffy fight, the damage that Joe Duffy put on Dustin Poirier, the Jim Miller fight, the damage that Jim Miller did to him. I just don't think I think he was a little too brawly at that time. And I think he would have been in trouble as well against Conor McGregor. Now, Conor McGregor in 2021 is a lot different than Conor McGregor in 2016. He beat Conor McGregor in 2021, but let's be honest, Conor's style at that point was a lot more boxing heavy. And even then, Conor McGregor had a lot of moments in that fight. He jolted Dustin on a few occasions. I don't know if a 2016 Poirier was as refined or as polished as the 2021 version that beat Conor McGregor. And so I think Conor would have beaten a Dustin Poirier as well. And so I believe that immediately post UFC 205, Conor would have cleaned out a lot of the lightweight division back then. Now, the lightweight division today, however, Conor wouldn't be able to swim in. But back then, these guys, Michael Chiesa was in the top 10. Michael Johnson, Nate Diaz was in the top 10 back then. It's a lot less deep back then than it is today. And so he would have flourished back then, I believe. Those are my thoughts. If you agree, please like, please comment below. Thank you.